I'm Bouris and this is Straight Talk.
Oh, that's a unreal question.
Nick Kyrgios, welcome to Straight Talk, mate.
Are you not entertained?
Is there a Nick Kyrgios in public that's different to, say, the Nick Kyrgios when he's at home with Costeen?
100%. I was trying to be someone else first half of my career. I wasn't ready to have so many expectations and everyone else's opinion of how I should be. It was to the point where the Rockstar or the Nick Kyrgios was like, I couldn't separate the two. I was partying till 4 or 5 a.m. I think that's when I hit my darkest point. I just didn't want to be Nick Kyrgios anymore. I've got to change this. And then once I let go of all that, I had the best year of my career, just being Nick Kyrgios.
Where would Nick Kyrgios like to close off his tennis career?
I think in like the Souths.
Don't start me. Don't start me at the rubber does. Nick Kyrgios, welcome to Straight Talk, mate.
How are you?
Very good. Been tough getting you here. You are so busy, man. Like doing stuff all the time. People just think you play tennis.
Yes.
But you do a million things other than the tennis.
Correct.
And you're sort of building for the future. And I'm going to talk about that. I want to park that for a second, though.
Yep.
Can't help but talk about your heritage, mate. We sort of share similar heritages in some respects. So tell me about your heritage. Load it up.
Well, yeah, I'll start with what you said earlier. Yeah, tennis is probably the easiest thing I do out of everything else. You know, going on court for a couple of hours and then coming home and getting a massage is the easiest part of my life. But everything else has been good. But yeah, my heritage, obviously my dad's from Greece, came by boat in 1965. So he was 7 years old, and then my mum was born in Malaysia, and then she travelled to Australia as well, and they both met in Canberra. Such a strange kind of story. So I'm a bit of a mixed race, and yeah, just been born and raised in Canberra, and now found my way to Sydney, and with a full Greek missus, and she's from Sydney. So yeah, man, just grew up in a mixed race house and heavily influenced Greek though. Like, you know, my family was all, most of my Greek family was in Canberra. So, you know, went to your Yard's place every Monday for food, you know, after training. So yeah, it's something I hold pretty dearly, and playing tennis around the world, you know, the Greek fans are pretty crazy. I'm not going to lie.
They're pretty hectic.
They are hectic, and you know, winning the Australian Open, and they've travelled around the world. Like no matter where I play, the Greek heritage is always strong.
Really?
And they want me to, you definitely know when there's Greeks in the stadium, let me tell you.
Yeah, well, that's pretty cool. Like, it's pretty interesting when you sort of come from mixed parentage. So your mum being Malaysian and your dad being Greek. It's an interesting thing that I've observed with other people, including myself, that it seems to be that you take most of the culture from from that part of your family that has the most momentum, like the biggest number of people or whatever the case may be, or wherever and you just mentioned your yeah. If you have a grandma there. Which is what yeah means for those people who don't know what yeah means. But you tend to take that one. So you could just explain to me, because I love hearing these stories. Yep. Explain to me what does it mean to you? What did it mean to you when you and your family go to your grandmother's house, your house on a Monday night for a feed? That you just said that like everyone else does it, but no one else does that. Not many people do it. Yeah.
So I guess the reason we kind of took more of our Greek side of the family was because most of my mum's relatives and family are still in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, so we don't see them as often. But yeah, so we were just going to my yaya's house, grandma in Australia, or papu's house every Monday. They lived literally 10 minutes away. That just became a routine. We did, you know, Christmases at our house with the lamb on the spit, like exactly how, you know, most Greeks, if they're watching this, would have experienced it. But they passed away not so long ago, and you know, just dating Costeen, my girlfriend now, she's full Greek, and going to her yaya's place, like Greeks understand how special it is to do those things. And for me, it's just nothing more humbling than like, you know, being on centre court of Wimbledon, you know, doing all these amazing things, travelling around the world, meeting all these people. But then like, I wouldn't trade going to my girlfriend's yaya's place, or, you know, having one more time at my yaya's house just to eat the home cooked Greek food. Like there's nothing better than that in my opinion. So I just feel like, and you know, my eldest brother Christos, he's just had a son George, and a little girl Sophia. So the names, everything, you know, there's about 5 Nicks and 5 Georges in our family who can't go to a barbecue or anything without, pointing at someone who you're talking to. So, yeah, I'm really proud of my Greek heritage.
And what's your dad's first name?
George.
So, generally speaking, that means if you have a child, in the traditional sense, you'll call your firstborn child George if it's a boy. If it's a girl, it could be Georgia.
Yeah.
But because in my family, my grandfather's name was Panagiotis Peter.
Yep.
And I got like 36 cousins. I think I got like 8 cousins, male cousins are called Peter.
Yep.
And when we refer to Peter, we say Peter, little Peter, middle Peter, big Peter.
Yeah, moustache Peter.
Yeah, moustache Peter. Yeah. So that's cool that the Greek heritage has sort of soaked itself into your system, your life. And of course you got Costeen, who in her own right is a very successful social media person. And and we'll talk about Costeen in a moment.
Yep.
But I've seen photographs of you. You look like you're really close to your mum.
Yeah. No, I am. I'm really close to my mum. I guess, I mean, look, in a way, Australia hasn't always embraced me, as an athlete. And I've gone through my ups and downs with the media and the public eye and the opinion. And it's I guess the only people at the end of the day that have always had my back are my mum and my dad. And I guess the Greeks, I feel extreme support from them, no matter if I lose, no matter if I win, if I go out there and compete, the Greeks always have embraced that side of things. So no matter if I've hated Australia in a way that how they've treated me, I can always count on my mum and the Greek side to always be there and make me feel like, oh, Nick, you're actually doing all right. Like, you're not playing that bad. You're one of the best players in the world. Like, oh, thanks. Like, it makes me feel good. So yeah, my mum's always been there, and just a sacrifice. Like, we grew up in government housing in Canberra. And
what does that mean? Like social housing?
Yeah. And we had not much money, so we couldn't travel. We were always driving to places like 8-9 hour journeys to make tournaments in like Orange and Majura, all these country towns in Australia. And my mum, she just sacrificed everything and put all the eggs in my basket and just basically wheeled me over the line to become a tennis player.
That's interesting. So as a kid living in Canberra, at what point did you know that tennis is your thing? I mean, because you're a big, tall dude, so I would have thought other things might have interested you, like AFL, basketball, etc. I've seen you on the basketball court. You love your basketball.
Yeah. Well, I played basketball growing up. But basketball was my first ever love, and I remember I used to shoot at my basketball hoop outside my house, and my dad I was 14. I remember I was shooting hoops. My dad came outside and he's like, "Look, we're going to stop playing basketball and we're just going to continue to play tennis." And to that day, like, literally broke my heart, because I was like, all I used to do was watch basketball videos, dress like a basketball player, watch it. And he's just like, we're cutting it now. We're not going to do it. We're just going to try and make it in tennis, because tennis, one of our biggest sports in Australia. And at that time, basketball wasn't so big here. And that was it. They basically just said, look, we're going to do it. And I never took myself seriously. I mean, to this day, I don't. I'm quite a jokester. I take the piss all the time. Like, I'm always having a drink. Like, I don't actually think I know what I'm capable of doing still, in a way. And I love that. I love the fact that I'm like, I need people to say like, oh, maybe you shouldn't do that. Like, you're him. And I think it's laughable sometimes. Like, when people say like, oh, you're Nick Kyrgios. Like, I don't think I carry that much weight. But yeah, like, I never took my career seriously. Maybe when I was about 20, I noticed that, oh, maybe I should start, putting in every day. And I was 18, I won my first professional tournament. I was 17, and I saw the list of people that had done it at that age. It was like Federer, Dimitri, like some of the greatest of all time. And I was like, Nick Kyrgios' name doesn't belong on that list, but it's there. And then I guess I kind of started taking it seriously.
Yeah. Do you ever get that feeling like you're a kid from Canberra, good immigrant parents? I don't deserve to be like, sometimes they call it imposter syndrome, but like, did you ever feel that?
Big time. I still feel that. To this day, I feel like, even sitting here talking to someone as successful as you and having my own show now and interviewing people like Gordon Ramsay, Mike Tyson, like, why are these people sitting next to me answering questions from Nick Kyrgios from Canberra? It's wild. So I do have to kind of snap my fingers and be like, this is surreal. And I say that, but people say like, you've worked hard to be in that position. And I have, but at the same time, it's like, I think what I'm doing isn't normal. I think what you're doing is not normal. I feel like we do deserve to have a little bit of praise, because it's pretty cool at the end of the day what we're doing.
Well, I'm lucky to be honest, to sit down and in this job to interview people like you, and I've had all sorts of mad interviews with people, and the only thing sometimes I just sort of scratch myself and say, why me, kid from Punchbowl? Immigrant parents. How's it all work? Well, why is it I'm so lucky? I don't feel like I'm an imposter, but like, I'm much older than you, so I've been able to deal with it. If I was been your age, I don't know if I would have been able to deal with it. I probably would have been skylarking, fucking around, doing all sorts of mad shit, get myself into trouble.
Yeah, it's
that sounds like Nick Kyrgios.
Yeah. I mean, look.
When you're younger, I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about me, like, I'm definitely loose, but I'm not as crazy as I think people. On the court, I'm definitely a different person. Like, I'm a psychopath on the court, obsessive and super competitive, and just the obsession to win for me when I'm on between those lines is not normal, and I think it's not healthy at times. But off the court, I'm a completely different person. Everyone that knows me and as a close friend and family know I'm extremely caring, quite calm, just want to have a good time, and I don't take myself too seriously. So the media's almost painted this villain and bad boy. It's like, this guy's fucking loose as unit. Well, don't get me wrong, I can party the house down better than most NRL players, to be fair. I'm not going to lie. But like, I'm not getting into crazy things, and I'm not doing illegal things and I might throw a racket here or there, but I'm not a psycho.
What would you say your relationship, maybe not so much now, but what has it been like, and how did it affect you in relation to the media?
Oh, it's been hard. I think getting thrown into the spotlight at 17 years old, and I was still in school. I was like a kid with my friends playing video games, living in Canberra, and I got thrown into the spotlight, and I just wasn't ready for it. And I think what I wasn't ready for was, I was always ready to be myself, but I wasn't ready to like have so many expectations and everyone else's opinion of how I should be. And I didn't understand, like, social media for me it's been a roller coaster, because to wake up, like, to this day, I can go on my social medias, Instagrams, Twitter, all this, and just see negative comments about myself, my partner, my family, everything. And that's, I think, to a normal person, that's not normal. Like, we're not supposed to actually absorb so many negative comments from the get-go. And it really affected me when I was younger. I really took it personally, and to the point where I was self-harming, was having suicidal thoughts. Like, I couldn't bear to go outside. Like, I was waking up at 3 p.m, dark room in Shanghai before I was playing professional tournaments. Like, it really affected me to the point where I just didn't want to be Nick Kyrgios anymore. And then, I kind of just learned to use it. I understand what social media is there for now. When I was a kid, I had no idea. Like, now I know I use it as a business thing. I follow people that I have extreme interest in, like the Souths.
Don't start me. Don't start me at the Rabbitohs.
But just like, now I understand what social media is, and there's so many idiots out there that comment on things and just leave negative comments. And it ultimately comes down to, I don't think people understand what words can actually do to someone. Like, it just piles up and it subconsciously sits there. And for me at a young age, it really ate me up. I was like, wow, what if these people are right? But now I think people like us have extreme amount of power on our fingertips. Like, you and I could write a tweet right now and be on fucking 9 News tonight. That's like a dangerous amount of power to give to someone. But earlier on, it was hard for me to kind of understand how this whole thing works.
So what would you say to a younger Nick Kyrgios, like someone like who might be coming through now?
Yep.
Doesn't matter what the sport is.
Yep.
And about to be sort of pushed into the same environments you were pushed into. What would you say to them in relation to social media? Because they've got to have social media.
Yes.
To maintain their
correct
levity.
Yeah, and also just...
What would you say to them though? Like, don't read it, or get a manager, or get someone else to read it and respond, or what would you say?
I just think, I don't think anyone's kind of... it's hard to say, because social media is it's not a natural thing. Like, it's just the way people get paid these days for just, doing like getting dressed in front of the camera or doing these influencers things. It's just wild to me. Like, someone like me, it's like, I've worked on my craft since I was 5 years old. Like, I played tennis at 7, and it's been every day since then. So I'm like mastered a craft my entire life, and that's why I get paid, and that's why I'm able to do these things. Where now it's like, people don't really have to have any sort of, hard acquired skills or anything. They just, have a bit of a social media, whatever, but it is. But I don't know. I think I'd tell myself, a big part of me is saying don't even bother playing, because it's just mentally it's been quite taxing and stressful. And I think on my family, the stress, I mean, look, on the flip side, it's been amazing. The things I can do for my family now have been amazing, but the stress it's caused as well it's not for everyone. I don't think everyone's ready and geared up for a lifestyle like this, because you got no privacy. And that's a big one. I would love to go get dinner with my girlfriend once in a while in public without being bothered, and that's just one thing. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have the answer. I don't have the answer.
And when you and Costeen go out for dinner, for example, let's say you're in Canberra or when it doesn't matter where it is, does it people actually come up and say, "Can I have a photo,
All
get
the
an
time.
autograph?" Yep. And then how do you deal with it? Like, do you feel as though sometimes you feel like saying, "It happened to me last night. I had to do a talk, and then I thought, nah, yeah, I make money out of these people. I really got to stand there. There's a line of people want to get a photograph, and I did it. I thought, oh fuck it. I wanted to go home, mate. I was 9:39. I was tired.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of years ago I would have said, no, fuck off, I'm not doing it. How do you deal with it?
I mean, look, in Sydney, I'm probably stopping 100 to 200 times a day. So that's why I love Canberra, because I go there and they see me grow up, and it's kind of like a country town vibe. Exactly.
Sort of, hanging out.
But anywhere in Australia and around the world, it's a constant thing that I don't have a problem with it. If they ask respectfully, I don't mind at all. It's more so when I'm in the middle of dinner with my family and someone's just barged in and they're disrespectful, and it's just like, this is like my off time where I'm trying to be a normal person. But I do my best to take as many photos as I can. And I mean, for even that, like, it's surreal. Like, why do people want photos with us? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
with you, I can't imagine. Like, I can imagine why you, but I can't imagine the stress or the number of people ask you. Like, it must be like literally all the time.
Yeah, it's all the time, and they just don't have perspective on what I could potentially be going through that day. Like, I remember one day that stands out. Like, my yaya was in, like, she passed away on that day, and it was Costeen's birthday. So my yaya passed away on Costeen's birthday. So I'm organising everything on Costeen's birthday. I get the news that my yaya passed away. I'm still training on the court, and in the midst of all that, I've got like 200 to 300 people coming for photos that day, and it's like they don't understand like the shitstorm I'm going through emotionally, but they just want a photo. It's like, and then I might be rude to one of them, like, oh, fuck off, like, I don't feel like it now. And then that's a ripple effect. They're going to tell someone, oh, he's an idiot. So it's like, how does someone like that balance? And that's my life daily.
Do you have a manager who walk along and say, look,
yeah,
like,
sometimes.
so get in front of you?
Sometimes, but like, he lives in Canberra. One of my closest agents, my day-to-day guy, he lives in Canberra, and then my other agent lives in LA. So when I'm just alone in Sydney, it's like,
yeah, they're not there.
I got to try. They can't be with me all the time. So my life is very stressful sometimes, and I come home, and sometimes Costeen doesn't really understand like why I'm in a shit mood, and I'm like, it's just hard sometimes to be this avatar that's been built up over time.
So do you feel as though that sometimes that you're like an avatar of yourself? In other words, is there a Nick Kyrgios in public that's different to, say, the Nick Kyrgios when he's
100%
at home with Costeen?
100%. I think that's over time, that's what's been created. The in public Kyrgios is the one you see on the court, and then behind closed doors is a completely different one. Yeah,
so it's when you want to meet somebody that's really famous, like Mike Tyson, or for your podcast, for example. What's your podcast called?
Good Trouble.
Good Trouble, right? Good, nice title. Good Trouble. When you want to get hold of someone like Tyson, or Gary V, whoever it might be, you don't have any trouble. You just bring them up, and they'll come on your podcast, and then you can go on their podcast, like a lot of times too.
Yep.
So it sort of works on the flip side too. It
does, definitely.
It gives you a lot of advantages.
100%.
So give us an example of who you might have interviewed in Good Trouble.
So yeah, Mike Tyson actually reached out. His team reached out to me because his daughter's a huge tennis fan. She plays tennis. They moved from Vegas to Florida for her tennis. So they're putting all the eggs in the basket for her. And then when she met me on Mike Tyson's podcast, her hand was shaking meeting me, and I was like, you know who your dad is, right? And I was like, that was surreal for me. Like, why is Mike Tyson's daughter so nervous to meet me? And his whole family was there, and then he came on my podcast, Good Trouble, and it was definitely one of the more surreal moments in my career. It was like, wow, like, I've achieved some amazing things in tennis, but now to be able to do something afterwards with these people was special. And Gordon Ramsay, like, someone like that, like, you think about food, you think about him, and I've been a fan of his for ages. I've watched all of his episodes on YouTube, and then he's just on, like, he's my first episode of Good Trouble. Like, that's my first guest. And yeah, just constantly staying in touch with these people. It's surreal. Jay Shetty, like, I've been in my bed, you know, naked after training, watching these people on my Instagram reels, and now I'm interviewing them. That's not normal. So yeah, I don't know. It's definitely on the flip side, but it just comes down to hard work, I guess, you know. And I'm also not that Nick Kyrgios on the court. Like, don't forget, a tennis match is 4 or 5 hours sometimes, and the little snippet that the news will show is like 20 seconds of me smashing a racket. So for the 95% of the match, I'm actually quiet, composed, gentleman, and then for the small snippet, it's like, that guy's a psychopath.
Yeah, well, but I don't think there's anything wrong with being a psychopath in some things.
No, definitely not.
Because sometimes it works.
Yeah.
Like in business, I'm probably a bit of a psychopath. Like, but if you acknowledge it and accept it, then and you don't take it outside of that into your private life, to your family or it's okay.
Definitely,
it's okay. So you being a psychopath in the way you play, compared to say, like Federer might also be one, just in a different way.
Yeah, he was a loose unit earlier in his career, and then I think he lost his coach, and that kind of changed him a bit, and then he obviously became who we see today, which is like not attainable. And I think people, when they say like, I think that's why my fan base is quite big, because they look at Federer, they're like, I can't be like him. He's like perfect. And they're like, oh yeah, Kyrgios, he looks more like attainable.
Yeah, more normal.
Yeah, let's be like him.
Yeah, by the way, that's the truth though. Like you are more normal. And I think like, especially in this day and age, authenticity is so important.
Big time.
So you come across, you might upset a few people, but you come across honest.
Yeah.
Because I'm being who I am. And is that the only way that Nick Kyrgios can be?
Now it is, for sure. I was trying to be someone else for basically first half of my career. It was like Nick Kyrgios supposed to win Grand Slams, Nick Kyrgios supposed to do this and achieve all this, but that wasn't what I wanted to do in the sport. I just wanted to do it my way. And then once I let go of all that, it was like I had the best year of my career. I nearly won a Grand Slam. Like I was nearly achieving these things they wanted, but I was doing it my way. I was just had a small team, my girlfriend, my physio, my agent, traveling around the world, being Nick Kyrgios, like throwing a racket here or there, but competing hard and just it was like I brought Canberra with me, like, and my Greek heritage, just all the things that were important to me, brought it along for the ride and just did it my way and just didn't care about anyone else's opinion.
So I'll come back to your tennis, your resumption of tennis in a moment.
Yep.
I did want to go back to the podcast. So how many episodes have you done on the podcast?
So I've done 6 at the moment.
Done six episodes.
6 episodes.
Where do you record it?
In LA.
In LA.
In the studios in LA.
So you obviously spend a lot of time in the States?
All the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So do you have a place you stay there, or how does that work?
So I have my residency is in the Bahamas.
Right.
I have a place in the Bahamas, and I've had that now for about 8 years, I'd say. So that's like kind of my base if I am traveling. So if I was healthy, Australian tennis player, we spend about 8 months overseas playing all year round. So maybe at that halfway point, I'd do a week or 2 weeks in Bahamas training and then into the US swing. So yeah, you can't not have a base overseas. If you're an Australian tennis player, you look at some of the other ones like Alex de Minaur, the more successful Australian tennis players, they usually have a base overseas. So yeah, I mean, that's where I
So do you ever feel as though you don't have roots? Stuck somewhere?
Definitely. And this is why me having this injury, like I had wrist surgery about 7 months ago and I'm back on court now, but it's actually been the biggest bonus for me because financially I've actually been able to set things up off the court with my platform that have, benefited me amazingly. And also just catching up with my family and friends. Like I've been traveling for the past 11 years, 6 to 7 months away from my home, my family, and I've felt so out of routine and my head's been everywhere. And now it's like I have a nice, diligent routine. I feel settled and I'm able to do things with purpose. And now when I'm coming back, it's like, all right, I'm ready to go back again. Where, man, the tennis life is hard from Australia. Like week in, week out, different place, different country, different hotels, just living out of a suitcase. It's pretty brutal.
And because some people think it's glamorous.
No, it's not.
Traveling. So maybe just give us a bit of an example, because obviously you're going to stay in a nice hotel, but everyone's going to say, well, yeah, but you stay in a nice hotel, they've got a gym and they've got a bar, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really mean anything. I mean, you're sleeping in a different bed every period, every week, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Explain that process, like what it's like.
So, tennis basically, you lose pretty much every week. Like, unless you're one of the greatest of all time in the sport, you're winning every week. But every week you might win a tournament here or there, but you're losing every week. So you don't know when to book your flights. So you don't know when to book hotels. You don't know when you're going to be leaving. You don't know when to be arriving. And my days, so if I was to land in, let's say, Houston, so I would land, I'd go to the tennis courts, train for a couple hours, do gym, get treatment, shower, dinner, sleep. That's my day for the whole week. It's not like going out to amazing restaurants, going to the gym, going in the jacuzzi. It's like diligently working. And then if I lose to the next, could be the next country, next state. And then we just do that again and again and again and again and again for 7 months in a row.
How do you keep yourself mentally ready for the next, let's say you lose in Houston and you're going to the next place, which could be wherever it is.
Yep.
How do you keep yourself up?
Well, you just have to like mentally just prepare yourself that I'm going to be home for this amount of time, away from home this amount of time, and you just got to bite it into the process. Like sometimes I won Washington like last year, 2022, sorry, and I was in Montreal the night after I'd won the final, playing first round of Montreal. Like it's like you win a week, it's next week, and it's like, so we did. I think me and Costeen, the first year we traveled, we went to 5 countries in a month and a half. Like. It was just like no routine, different food, different time zones. It's a shit show.
And do you build mates in other places, or are you just pretty much waiting to get back or to catch up with people?
Yeah, I've definitely built some mates in around the world and other tennis players as well. Like I've pretty close to some of them, but it's just hard to find any sort of routine. And I think that's why Djokovic for me is arguably the best athlete of all time, because his adaptability is like he'll be in Asia one week, then Europe, then the States, then Australia. And it's like the guy's playing different time zones, different tennis balls, different food, different air, and he's just continually beating everyone. Like
what do you think he is? What do you reckon it is about him that just makes him so special?
Hard to say. I don't know. Like I don't have the answers.
Is it because he grew up in Serbia? Like it might be a tough environment, or what?
Big time. Well, yeah, he was. I think he was growing up in Serbia when there were bombs dropping. Basically, I've spoken to him about it, and that's what I mean. Like people think that their upbringing was hard, which they are, but he went through something, that was. I wouldn't even know how to react if I was going through something like that. So he's definitely come from an upbringing that's extremely hard, and he's just mentally so resilient. Like that year when we kicked him out of the country, like he's dealt with everything. Then he came back and threw it in our face, basically. So he's a mental animal, really.
So is Nick Kyrgios anti-authoritarian a little bit? Like in other words, I'm not going to toe the line just for the sake of towing the line, just because you tell me I've got to do something. I'm going to have my own opinion on it. And that to me is anti-authority.
Yep.
And by the way, I'm not making a judgment on it.
Yep.
Is that the sort of person you clearly were like that? But is that part of your DNA?
I think I just like to challenge, and I'm very curious, and I like to ask questions. Like that was even when I was in the academy. When I was 12, I got kicked out of the Melbourne Academy, just because I was always challenging coaches. I was like, why am I doing this? Like I need reasoning as to why you've set these like boundaries for me, and what's the benefit? Like I'm always questioning and wanting to find the real root as to why I'm doing things. And I guess when I don't agree with something, I'm just going to say, I just don't think I agree with that. Here's what I think. I think that's normal and it's healthy. Like if everyone just kind of rocks up to a place and it's like, okay, I'm going to follow these rules, but they're not getting the best out of themselves. It's like, well, then you should do something else. Like it's as simple as that. And I think I don't just rock up and like I'm going to rebel for no reason.
Yeah, so you're not rebellious.
Yes.
But you ask a question.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and that's hell. I think people these days, they lack that. They like this generation coming up, they lack asking questions. They just follow, they're rule followers. They think what they're being told is the right thing. Like they don't ask questions. So they're all the same. Like I feel like I walk outside and I just see this, everyone's the same. Like it's weird. I feel super uncomfortable.
It's funny because like one of your close associates, Matt, who's just sitting over here, before we started the podcast, he said he was going to go out and hopefully the parking officer's not listening to this, but he was going to go outside and put the money in the parking meter.
Yep.
And both of us said, fuck it, don't worry about it. Like you're not going to get booked. And that's not because, I hate paying parking fines.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if I can afford it or not, it shits me.
Yeah.
If it's $50, it shits me because I'm Greek. I don't want to pay.
No, I understand.
But equally, I'm thinking to myself, it's a rule-based mindset, and I say, fuck it, it should be okay.
Yeah.
It's funny how Matt immediately thought he should do it.
Yep.
And your response was, no, don't be okay.
Yeah.
And I know it's not because you don't care about the money.
Yeah, it's not about that. It's just like, you should.
It should be okay.
Yeah.
It should be okay. And they're the sorts of people, that sort of entrepreneurial flair is a similar sort of flair, I think, to what it takes to be a great sports person, because you've got to take risks.
Definitely.
On the court.
100%.
Risks in your training.
Yep.
Risks in terms of your life generally, because, like you don't see anybody, and you and Costeen are just basically traveling the world and never really get to talk to anybody else, which is why I want to come back to Costeen, because it must be pretty hard to do that and stay in a stable relationship.
Yes.
There's got to be a particular type of personality, two personalities that work together in that sort of environment. That's why I want to come back to Costeen in a minute. But how important, as part of your character, is risk-taking, and when does it turn around and bite you on the ass?
Well, I think risk-taking, like in the tennis sense, when I was training in Melbourne, when we were all training together, the coaches put a thing on the whiteboard, right? And they were saying that risk taking was the same for everyone. Where it was like my game style is like aggressive. It's like it's risk taking, but the more risk I take, the higher percentage I have to win the match. So is it really risk taking? It's like the more aggressive I play and the more chances I take, that just only increases my chance to win. And that's just how I've been in my life. It's like the more enthusiastic I've been, the more like I push someone, or the more I just I don't know, not necessarily risk take, but just the more I get involved in something, the better off I've actually come out in anything in my life. Tennis, it's like I've only known to be like flamboyant or flary and play the trick shots, and because that's just my personality coming out. So risk taking for me has been, I live and die by the sword. I'll put it out there, and if I come up short, it's like, at least it was like my mentality is, if I'm playing Nadal, Federer or Djokovic, any of these guys, if I went out there and played aggressive under pressure and kept it on my racket, I could sleep better at night. It's like if I lose, at least it was on my terms and not on their terms, and that's just how I live my life basically.
So therefore, when you take risks, it sort of gives you a reward, and risk and reward are related, obviously.
Yep.
So, because when I watch you play tennis, it looks like one of the ways you defend against someone like Djokovic are those types of players who are very purposeful and strict in their program. They're programmatized, sort of the way they play.
Yep.
It looks like to me that because you're a big unit, and it looks like to me that you're using your presence to sort of like overwhelm. Fuck, here he comes. Look at, oh my God, what is he going to do next?
Yep.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah.
Because that's always worked for you, obviously.
Yes.
Because you've always been that person your whole life.
Correct.
I bet you when you're down in Melbourne at the Institute there,
I haven't changed.
you were bigger than everybody else, taller.
Not more athletically gifted, but
it's not about for your size, probably.
Yeah, I was pretty overweight.
Where?
Yeah, I was an overweight kid.
But so but I
was definitely bigger than everyone.
But bigger.
Yes.
And that is an overwhelming thing.
It is.
And here comes this guy full of cockiness.
Yeah.
And he's coming at the net. Yeah. What the fuck is he going to do?
Yeah, I've always tried to keep. I mean, that's my reputation on tour, is unpredictable. It's like no one has any idea. Like the scouting reports will just be question marks. Just like, we don't know what's coming. Just gear up, and it could be a 4 hours mental and physical roller coaster. And that's, I think, against Federer and Nadal and Djokovic and Andy Murray, all these guys that are just some of the greatest of all time. Like, I'm not going to beat them playing the gentleman sport. Like, in my mind, I'm trying to take them back to the concrete courts with cracks in it in Canberra. That's my mentality, is to drag them down to that arena where they feel like, shit, I don't feel like I'm on centre court at Wimbledon anymore. Like, where am I? I feel uncomfortable. Like me, it could be me just like looking at them on change of ends and just saying like, hey, how do you feel? You feel nervous? Like, I actually say these things to people on court, and they're just like, why is this guy talking to me on the change of ends? Like, we shouldn't be doing that. I try and just make it as unprofessional as possible.
And unpredictable.
And then it's worked majority of the time. Anyone that says like, oh, he hasn't reached his potential, it's like, dude, I've nearly won the most immortal event the tennis has ever given to us. Like, and I lost to the best player of all time. Wimbledon. Like, I lost to Novak in a tight force. Like, I nearly did it. Like, I'm only human, you know?
It's funny, that when you say that, because one of the elements of being this unpredictable person is theatre. And theatre plays an important role in this stuff.
Yep.
Sometimes mucking up a bit and fucking around. Not in the set, but like not when you're playing, but just outside the set.
Yep.
Sort of adds to the theatre and also adds to the unpredictability of this guy called Nick Kyrgios, especially for someone like Andy Murray, like who's really straight.
Clean cut.
Yeah, or down the middle, sits at the back of the court and hits from the baseline all the time. Someone like being an Englishman too, coming up against this Greek kid with a Malaysian mum, what are you, 6'5"?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, 6'5", like a giant, and has a massive reputation like on and off the court.
Yep.
Like, you use that to your advantage.
Definitely.
So there's quite a bit of intellect going into this, quite a bit of strategy. Is it Nick Kyrgios who works out the strategy, or do you sort of do it with a team of dudes?
No. It's my team has now realised that, and I've had a bunch of players, like teammates throughout my whole career, and they realise that I'm just who I am, and I haven't had a coach now for like 6 years, and they just know that whatever they see on court is just what my mind's been cooking up. I don't even know what's going on in there half the time when I'm on court. Like, I'm asking people in the crowd where to serve. Like, I was going to the pub with the media and journalists the night before I played Nadal. Like, I don't know what goes inside my head sometimes when I'm on court, and it's all a show to me. Like, entertainment and sport is one. So deep down, I just want to give that crowd an insane show. It doesn't have to be good or bad. I just want them to go home and say like, what the fuck did we just watch?
How good.
Yeah. And to me, people are like, oh, that's not reaching full potential, but it's not, I don't care about that. Like I care about giving like people like just something to make them feel a certain way. Cause I hate going to a sports, like any sort of sporting game and just like sitting there and like nothing's happening. Like I'm not saying I want someone to get injured or something, but I want some sort of like adrenaline rush. And hopefully I give that to people when I'm on court.
Because you just said something really important. It's a show.
It is.
It's a show. And, we look at your mates, Volkanovski. I mean,
that's the Coliseum. What he does is like
totally.
the new age Coliseums. Like you go to, you basically die.
Yeah.
Like that's not a sport. That's a fucking show.
Sometimes.
That's what I mean. So that's a show. Like it's been here since the beginning of time. That's what sport is.
And given that you sort of tap into that vibe,
yep.
When do you work out, oh shit, I just got to be careful I don't become Nick Kyrgios, the show? I mean, was there a point in your life where you thought, hang on, I got to be careful I don't live that out? In other words, I don't identify with that guy. I'm actually I'm Nick Kyrgios,
yep.
the partner of Costeen, the son of mum and dad,
George,
blah, blah, brother,
yep.
sister, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Godfather, etc.
Yep.
At what point in your life did you realize, or did you ever get to a crisis where you thought, shit, I'm becoming the dude?
Yeah. I think that's when I hit my darkest point where it was like I was partying till 4 or 5 a.m. Like I'd go to nightclubs and cloak my tennis bag. Like I would go from the court and enter the club from the center, cloak my tennis bag, and then like just go to the courts the next day from the club. Like it was to the point where the Rockstar or the Nick Kyrgios was like, it was never, I couldn't separate the two. Like I remember playing a match, winning, like destroying this guy and making him feel real shit on the court, going to locker room, dressing up in my like going out gear, and everyone was like, dude, where are you going? I'm like, I'm just going to the club. Like straight from the tennis courts, and the locker room knew that this behavior was going on, and it was just like they would see me rocking the next day in the same clothes, and it was like I'd play like Rafa and put on an absolute show. I might not win, but it would be like the most entertaining thing, and it was like I kept doing that for a couple of years, and I burnt out. Like I just couldn't do it anymore to the point where it was self-harm. It was actually detrimental to my health, my family, my friends, my relationship with my friends, just everyone. And then I was like, I have to be able to separate. I can be that Nick Kyrgios for like maybe 10% of the time, and the rest I have to like really try and drown him when I'm off the court, basically.
Was there someone in your life who'd tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, mate, come on?
Yeah, my dad, because my dad never cries, like super strong emotional, like tolerance. My dad, like always, he's the one in the family that's always just, he still works this day. He's 7 years old. He still paints. Like he just has the same routine, takes the dogs for a 13K walk every morning, just super diligent, doesn't want to pay overpriced for a tomato to this day. Like,
mate,
you know what I mean?
The same.
Exactly. So he was basically the one. I woke up one day at Wimbledon. I got home at like 10 a.m. and he was crying on the side of the bed saying like, you can't keep doing this. Like you're gonna get to a point where it's this, you're just gonna, I don't know what's going to happen. And then I was like, I've never seen my dad cry before. And that was the one time I was like, okay, I've got to change this. Because obviously this is something that my family's super concerned about. And that was it. That was the kind of the wake up call for me.
And then at what point then did you meet Costeen? Was she in your life at that point?
No, I met Costeen we've been together for 2 years. Wow. We've been together for almost 2.5 years now. So I kind of met her when I was better emotionally, but I'd gone through a lot of, bad relationships prior to that. So I knew that when Cosy came in, I told her, I was like, look, this is who you're dating. Like I've come with a lot of baggage and your life's going to change dramatically. Like what you know now to what was going to happen, it's not for everyone. Like you'll barely see your family. Like there's a lot of pros, like you'll probably gain a bunch of, say, Instagram followers, and you'll have your own businesses now and you'll earn your money, but like this lifestyle, it's full on. And she was like, yeah, okay, great. And then she didn't really actually understand, like she's on the morning show, she's doing crazy things. It's like you're now your own entity of a person with a brand. And but she's been so amazing for me. And I guess what I needed in a partner was just, my life is such a shitstorm all the time. But when I come home, if I just have a nice peaceful home, and she's Greek and now she can cook, and it feels like peace. Like it's my little slice of peace that I know that I can come back to. Obviously when I go out with the boys, she's still a nutcase. Like she's Greek. She
Where are you?
Yeah. Where are you? I got to give her my location, but I love her for that. Like she's crazy, but like I love that side of her as well. But my life's just such a shitstorm all the time. I need that. I need her in my life to give me that. She just makes it all make sense a little bit.
At what point in your life did you realize that there's two parts of that shitstorm bit? My life's a shitstorm, but that's a life I can dip in and dip out of.
Yep.
Or my life's a shitstorm and I'm part of the shitstorm. I'm the guy who creates it.
I'm definitely, where I go, trouble usually follows. Or not trouble, but just chaos. And I guess I don't know if I can ever, I hope one day when I stop playing and when I calm down and there's some other nut case or, that's taken my spot. I mean, I think that would be where I can maybe just chill out and go out. But now it's, I don't know. I guess I try and have good people around me. Like my friends are all, great guys that I have a lot of time for and they know what I'm like, and I don't hang around with people I don't love genuinely. So I don't know when it will end, to be honest, because it is a shit show. My life it's crazy.
Let's talk about your injuries. You had the knee operation, then you had wrist operated on. You haven't played for a year and a half.
A year and a half, yeah.
Yeah. So how are you going now in terms of recovery?
So I had two knee operations. My knee's completely fine now, though.
So they're just clean outs, were they?
I had a meniscus tear initially, and then I had a pretty serious another meniscal tear. So they had to basically shave half my meniscus off and stitch the other part to my bone. But that's fine now. Like this is fully no pain at all. And then I had wrist surgery 7 months ago. Basically I fell over about 11 years ago and I tore one ligament, and the surgeon was like, you could get the surgery now or you can just let it ride and see how far it gets you. And then basically 11 years, we fast forward 11 years and I've needed to get the surgery. So yeah, it's been hard because I had the best year of my life. I had the third best season on planet.
In 22.
In 2022. It was Rafa and Djokovic then me. Like that was how good I was playing. So it required a lot of work, and I think I look back at my career and I look back at the partying and everything and all of that, and then playing at a high level, it's almost burning the wick at both ends. And my body was just like, look, we had a great year, but now we have to kind of put the pieces back together. So that's how I look at it, and I'm just embracing it. Like I've loved putting in the work and rehabbing, and I've had my eyes set. Hopefully this year I'll come back.
24?
Yeah. Towards the end of the year, I definitely want to be playing, and if not, Australian Open towards the start of next year. But like I'm an athlete. Everyone gets injured, I think, at some stage, and I think it's how you kind of look at it. For me, it's been an opportunity. I wouldn't be able to sit here and talk with you if none of this happened either. I'd be overseas playing. So everything's just take it day by day, and it's a bonus, really.
So what did they have to do with the tendons or the ligaments? Did they have to re-sew them or?
Yeah, they had kind of put a couple holes in and just put a piece of, I don't know,
it's a polymer. It's like a plastic.
Yeah, and they just it's just tightened up my
They
wrist.
weave it in.
Yeah, and that's it. Basically now I can move it now. And it was to the point where I couldn't put salt on my food. That's how much pain I was having. It wasn't even about tennis. Everyday life was a task. But now it's really good.
And have you changed your your health regime as a result of it? So part of the rehab is not just exercising and all that sort of stuff, but it's about food and sleep and not using your hand obviously not hitting the ball as much because there's a lot of impact on that.
Correct.
Have you changed your routine, your personal health regime?
One thing in my life and career that's always been quite consistent is my diet. I've always had a pretty good diet, and I don't know if it's a healthy way to think about it, because I was drinking so much in the earlier parts of my career, I said to myself, I'm going to keep my diet quite clean. So it almost balanced the scales out. I don't know if that's a healthy way. So if I was drinking a lot, I'd barely eat, or I would just eat really healthy. And that's consistently been in my diet's been really good. I was vegan for 2 years, then went pescatarian. I've tried all the different diets, and now I'm a meat eater again. But really clean, standard of living. My mum and dad cook really well, and they know that I try and eat really clean. So, yeah, now I've lost 5.5 kilos in about 3.5 weeks. So I'm back in heavy training and trying to get into playing shape. So, yeah, it's tough. Consciously trying to eat less now because I'm training and trying to lose a little bit more weight. And
what do you weigh? What does someone like you weigh?
So my playing weight's about 89 kilos. Quite light for someone 6'5". Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
89 kilos?
Yeah, 89, 90 kilos.
And what would you walk around at? Normally?
Well, tennis is all year round, so I wouldn't usually walk around at that. But during my surgery, I probably put on about 4 or 5 kilos. And that's just because I'm not training as much. But as soon as I start training again, like.
And what does training mean? Like, I don't even know what it means for a tennis player's training regime. What is it? Weights, running? What do you do?
Yeah, so early in the morning we usually do like a heavy conditioning session. So a lot of like assault bikes, like VersaClimber, just super hard conditioning with a little bit of resistance. Then I'll jump on court for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then I'll do like a lift or a gym session at night, and then try and get physio or massage, and then that's it. So I'm probably doing like 3.5 to 4 hours a day.
Every day?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
And do you have a day off?
Sunday's usually a day off because I'm absolutely winced from the Saturday night, but I might do something light on Sunday.
So when I say do you have a day off, do you have a day off the drink too?
I try not to drink during the week.
Yep.
And then by the end of the week, I am usually like itching, really itching.
You're tonguing for a drink.
Yeah, for a red.
Yeah.
For a nice.
So what do you do? Like you have a red wine. What's your deal?
The thing about me, like my personality, I'm either all in or I'm not at all. If I have a drink, it's like 50, and then like one thing leads to another, and then like one thing leads to another, and then I was like, Kig's got to go home.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That's how I am. Like even in my relationship, I'm either all in, I'm obsessive, and I'm doing everything for the better of us, or I'm just like, I'm going fucking crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like I do everything with purpose, and I'm all in until until we decide it's not.
Are you sort of always that type of personality? Are you always looking, shit, something's going to come my way anyway? Because I know that this maybe you're thinking like because I'm all in. I know I expect some sort of shitstorm to come my way at some stage. I mean, you always sort of semi-expecting some drama to come, or you don't give a fuck?
That's a fucking unreal question. I kind of always have, with my relationship, I'm in an amazing position. I'm not expecting anything because I know from my standpoint, I've done everything very well and have super good boundaries and relationships. So no, not with that, but my everyday life, like, yeah, I just kind of go with the flow. Like I don't care what comes. I know that I can get through anything basically.
I'll deal with it.
Yeah, I'll deal with it. Yeah.
And
I've been through a shitstorm.
That's pretty cool though. Like to be able to say, I'll fucking deal with it.
Yeah, it is.
Because some people walk around shit scared.
Yeah.
And they never get anything done. They don't really actually ever experience what they really could do because they're worried about the outcomes.
Correct. And I think that comes with experience though. Like when you've had so much struggle or hardship or shit in the media or your business being aired out in public, like, man, my ex-girlfriend took me to court, like all that's been out. Like when you've gone through so much, I guess, trauma and stuff, you're just not scared of anything anymore. You're like, fuck, that's not, people tell you about their problems. Like, that's not even, they're not even going through anything. Like, man the fuck up and just get through it. Like, I just feel like I've gone through everything and can get through anything.
Well, that's called resilience.
Yeah.
Because that's how you build resilience.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Just
by experiencing everything. Can I talk to you about OnlyFans?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
What's the deal there? So take me through it because obviously, when I see OnlyFans, because I've had some people, I had Angela White on here. She sat right there. Angela White's the number one earning porn star on OnlyFans in the world. 10.5 million US a year. That's her subscription, right? And when I heard that you were going to do something with OnlyFans, I went, what the fuck is he going to do? Is he going to take his kid off or what?
Yeah.
So what most people don't realize, OnlyFans originally was set up for all creators.
Correct.
But the porn stars sort of hijacked it.
Correct.
So take me through it.
So basically, OnlyFans kind of reached out to me and they were like, they wanted to try and get athletes more involved on it. And that's exactly what you said. Originally, it was for all creators. There were people on there that were showing insights to do things and it was actually quite innovative. So for me, the deal we had was, obviously when I announced OnlyFans, you have the herd of people saying, oh my God, he's going to get his fucking dick out. Like, obviously not, mate. Like, basically the deal was really nice. And I was like, look, I like the fact that I can go on a platform and post tennis stuff, post everyday stuff. Like when I'm doing my family, like it's just basically me vlogging my everyday life, putting it on OnlyFans. And for me, it's like
as a tennis player though?
As a tennis player. Or just as Nick, what does Nick Kyrgios do in his everyday life?
Right.
I've got content of me clubbing up there, like just everything basically. And it's like, I think about it, if some of my favorite people were on OnlyFans and I could get an insight to how they functioned or what you do in your business, or just anything, I'd be like, I would subscribe $20 a month just to see if I could learn something. So yeah, that's basically what I do on there, and it's been awesome.
Did you feel confronted when they first asked you? Did you think, oh my God, what do they want me to do?
Obviously, yeah. I was like, I mean, I definitely knew when they came to me, they weren't going to make me,
go naked,
go something crazy. But I mean, I can do that, by the way. Like at any moment in time, like me and my agent can do something crazy and kinky. Like it's not like the boundaries there, we can't do it. But obviously I wouldn't do it. But Yeah, basically, and it's cool because anytime I make an announcement, like say for Australian Open or Wimbledon, like the media has to subscribe to my OnlyFans to see what I'm doing.
Oh, really?
So yeah, because I don't.
You don't do media releases, so to speak.
Exactly, I do all my media releases through OnlyFans now. So I got people.
So they're going to become fans.
They're going to become exactly.
I love it.
It's so good. It's smart as.
It's very clever.
Yeah.
And so you got your podcast.
Yep.
You've done 6 eps.
Six
Yep. What's the is it about doing like 10 or 20 or just keep doing them?
So the first season has 10 episodes,
Right.
and every couple of weeks they come out. So the next episode's probably going to be Naomi Osaka. So
Wow.
yeah, so that's really interesting because she's gone through a lot as well, and
Totally.
and for tennis players, that's going to be a really good one. But yeah, man, it's been really being injured has made me be able to do awesome things, like obviously being a part owner in the Miami Pickleball Club as well.
Take me through that. I want to know about that.
Pickleball,
Yeah.
if you, after this, go have a look at it, but it's basically probably one of the biggest sports probably in the world at the moment.
Wow.
Like in the States, it's everywhere. And I guess it's very, even my dad is obsessed with it because it's like you can play it at a young age and it's not as expensive, say, as tennis. Like buying a tennis racket, getting it restrung, buying tennis balls, booking courts, it's actually quite expensive. It's an expensive sport. And pickleball's like, you can play it till you're about 75 and you can start at probably like 10. So it doesn't require, I guess, as much skill per se as tennis, but it's like, it's very accessible for people and it's growing in Europe. There's courts everywhere. There was a tournament in Sydney. The prize money was like 40 grand.
Wow.
And it's actually becoming like quite a big sport. So Miami Pickleball Club, I think,
You own that now. You're
part owner in it. So
yep.
Naomi Osaka, Mahomes is also a part owner in our one too. So we bought it for about $1 million for 5 of us. And now it's worth like 10 to 12 in the space of 2 years. So it's really been an amazing investment.
So you got your pickleball.
Pickleball, and then
your
part
podcast.
owner in the South Melbourne Phoenix as well, the NBL team.
Yep.
And obviously we didn't have a great season, but yeah, like obviously me being an NBA fan, I wanted to get as heavily involved as possible. Yeah, man. So being injured's opened up a lot of doors.
So but obviously there's 4 things that you're doing there outside of tennis.
Yep.
But you haven't given tennis away. So tennis is now subject to recovery.
Yep.
Tennis is back on the agenda.
Yes,
For
definitely.
perhaps later this year or early for the 2025 year.
Yep.
Where would Nick Kyrgios like to close off his tennis career? So like a year, 2 years time, what does it look like? I mean, in an ideal world.
I think I made a kind of, not a commitment or a promise, but I said I didn't want to play over 30. Like when I first came on the scene when I was like 18, I was like, I don't want to play over 30 years old. I want a family. I would like a kid before 30 and I would like to have a big family and I want to be present with them. Like hopefully I can build something outside of the tennis as well, which I'm doing now, and I'm able to just be present with my family and give them as much learning and time as possible. So I would say probably a year or 2, I think I will be playing tennis for. I think and I don't want to be one of those players that fizzles out. Like I want to go out on my own terms and go out basically competing for some of the biggest tournaments in the world. And, you know, because I look at some players like, not that I think it's a bad thing, but Andy Murray and some of these great champions that were at the top of the sport, where now they're kind of, you know, they're still at the top, but they're not like, you know, competing for Grand Slams. And I think that's just not what I want to do. I don't love the game that much to hang around for that long. So ideally 1 or 2 more good years, and then I'll hang up the sticks.
So 1 or 2 more good years means 2 hard, intense years. Like
Yes.
that means that your prep
Correct.
between here and the day you get back on that course
is diligent. Yeah, it's consistent.
So this is like you being a mature Nick Kyrgios, knowing
Correct.
all the shit you got to get through,
Yep.
and all the dramas that you physically have.
Yep.
Like, you know, you got to manage all this crap as you get
100%.
older. But really having a good hard crack at it.
Definitely, like day in, day out training. And that's the thing, like you alluded to it earlier, it's like people just think I hit tennis balls. It's like the training, the recovery, the diet, just the way we have to carry ourselves in public, like that all that all takes energy. And with all the business things on the side, with all the conversations I'm having on WhatsApp, with business meetings here, there, it's like it's like a certain person, you have to be ready for it, like at a mature sort of level.
Yeah.
Like I have friends that are like, oh man, your life must be amazing earning the money. And I'm like, dude, you wouldn't have any idea where to start if you're in my position. Like you wouldn't, it comes with great responsibility, what you do, what I do. Like it's not a walk in the park. It's like I would love to just lay in bed on it. Like yesterday I went to the gym at 10:30. Like I don't like doing that, but I do it because I have to do it. And that's just instilled in me now. Like I have to go and do extra, where like people like, they don't understand that.
So now you're a bit older. You're not that old, but like now you're older. Do you feel like you're a veteran at it?
Oh yeah. I mean, tennis, I was going overseas at 13, 14 to third world countries, and it opened my perspective up on where I live. Anyone who complains in Australia about living is just, they lack perspective and they have no fucking idea. Because like I was going to Philippines, India, these places at 13, 14, there was kids coming up to me begging for money. And I'm like, I'd come back to Canberra. I'm like, mate, I live in fucking paradise. So anyone out in West Sydney as well who thinks they have it rough, they like, it's not bad out there in Bankstown, I'm not going to lie. Like tennis, I think has really sped up my maturity levels, and like it's opened my perspective up, and it made me mature early. As although people don't think I'm mature, like I've traveled pretty much everywhere in the world, seen everyone, met a lot of people, a lot of different cultures. And I was telling Maddie before I got here, I feel like 80 years old, like soul wise. I've seen so much and been through so much.
You sort of are an older, when I'm sitting here talking to you, you are an older head relative to your age. I mean, I keep forgetting you're only 27, like that's crazy. But in terms of settling down, because sort of like was where you're heading towards in a couple of years' time, what does settle down mean? I mean, perhaps you might, I don't know whether you're going to marry Costeen or not, but you're going to hang with Costeen. You want to have kids? Is that something she wants to do?
Yeah, she's definitely into the marriage thing. Yeah. She tells me a lot, and she'll be watching this. So, and I think one day she's definitely the one for me. Like I think when I settle down, it's more so like I'm not going out on a fucking Thursday, getting home at fucking crazy times. I think that's what it more so means, settling down. I think busyness wise, I'm never going to stop. And I think I'm going to take that. And I've learned from my dad, like being purposeful and doing things keeps you alive longer. Like 100%. I think that's the remedy for it. Why people get sick, and then they and it's because they have no stimulation, or they don't keep themselves active. Obviously, if something comes about and it's a sickness, obviously you can't do much about that. But I'm just talking about inactiveness. I just take a page out of my dad's book. I'm always going to be active, and that's what I'm going to be doing. But settling down, I think it's more so just not stressing her out as much.
Would you like to have kids?
Definitely. I want to have a huge family.
Yeah, like what does that mean? Like
4 or 5? Yeah. I'd love to.
And is it Costeen think the same thing?
Cos definitely wants kids. I don't think she wants 4 or 5, but
she's the one who's got to give birth to them. But I guess
that's true. But I guess at this stage I'm paying for them. So.
And by the way, you'll pay for that for the rest of your life, because she'll be listening to this for sure.
She knows my humour.
And what will Costeen do though? What will she continue on doing what she's doing now? Like she's quite a big influence in her own right.
Yep.
She's got her own stuff that she sells.
Yep.
So just take us for the audience who doesn't know who Costeen is. So take us through what Costeen is doing.
She's flat out as well. Honestly, and I'm super proud because when I met her, I feel like she didn't really have a direction of where she wanted to go or what she wanted to do. So to see her and her growth over the last 3 years as well, not only has she been there for me and supported me through everything that I have to go through, she's also been super diligent with her work. She has a lot of pride in what she does, and she does it like nice and classy. And I understand someone in her position on social media, they don't have to be always, super classy with what they post. And I'm super happy and lucky that she hears me out and like, maybe I don't want guys seeing half your body all the time. Like she actually is really respectful of me, and she understands that I'm super protective of us, because I know there's a lot of outside noise trying to tear us apart all the time. So she's grown up to be a great woman. She cooks now. She looks after my home. We got a dog together, so she does look after that little Boo as much as she can, but she's super busy. She has big deals. She's doing Bondi Sands. She does a bunch of stuff. So she's always on the go as well.
She's an ambassador from Bondi Sands.
She's so
that's
around.
The spray tan.
Yeah. And I don't need much of it, but she's always busy. So I don't know how she does it, man. She deals with me. She keeps me in check, and she looks after our home, and with it, she balances her life. And I know sometimes she's overwhelmed, but she's young as well. So
how much younger than you is she?
she's 5 years younger.
5 years younger.
Yep.
Yeah. So she's like
She's 23. She's 23.
Late early 20s.
Yeah.
And is she from Canberra or from Sydney?
She's originally from Sydney.
Sydney girl.
Yep.
And where do you guys live in Australia? I mean, don't give me the address, but like you live in Canberra with your folks, or
No, we live in Sydney together.
Yep.
And I'm always going back and forth from Canberra anyway, because that's where I do most of my training and rehab and stuff down there.
right? And does she go to Bahamas with you?
She's been there, yes,
and
she does.
and
she travels everywhere with me. We don't.
She goes on tour with you, so
yeah,
to speak.
Yeah, she wants. She's gonna be watching this, but she's more protected than I am. She wants to be everywhere I am.
Yeah.
I want her there too, but she's like, I don't think she'd be comfortable with me traveling alone and going out and
Being
stuff.
who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Because do you mind if I ask you this? Like, I mean, it's a tricky question, but like, being, you're a good looking cat. You're well known. You're a sports person. You're young. You're, well off.
Yep.
Etc. Temptation always. I mean, unfortunately,
Yep.
you're going to be tempted, or people are going to be throwing temptation at you all the
Yep.
time.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that?
I think I got most of it out
When you were
early.
younger.
Yeah, when I was younger, and I think that's loyalty is a thing where it's like I have mates where they're like, oh, I'm super loyal. I'm like, you're not loyal. You just don't have options. So it's like when you have options and you continually choose to go back to someone every single day, that's loyal. It's like, do you know what I mean? So it's like, and I haven't always been a great person. Not in this relationship, yes, but in other relationships and when I was younger, getting thrown all that temptation and everything, like I wasn't a good person all the time. So I realized now, like I got into this relationship, I see it long term, and I think I've created boundaries for myself, and she understands that I was someone, before she met me, she doesn't really understand who I was beforehand, and she has nothing to compare me to. Because if she did, she would think I'm an angel now. So it's like, I know that I want to be the best person I can be for Costeen. And yeah, I think I've gone through that period of my life.
And do you think is that like becomes a bit of a challenge too? Like, in other words, I like the challenge, and I want to beat the challenge. I want to get over the top of these things because I'm actually smarter than that. Or I'm better than that.
Yeah, exactly. I think I think we were taught as like when we were younger to like what was cool to be like rich, famous, talk to a bunch of girls, and every guy thinks like that is cool. And there was a period where I thought it was cool too, like talking to a bunch of girls and being an idiot to them and breaking their heart and whatever. Like that's not cool in my eyes anymore. Like I like doing what I like to do, having some fun with my mates and achieving some cool things, having this cool chat, and then going home and eating lunch with my missus. Like that for me is now cool. And I think she understands that I'm just past that stage of doing anything stupid like that. So.
And how important is it for you to have the right people around you?
Oh, huge.
Like, have you gone through a period where you had the wrong people around you?
Yeah. And I think that would be one of the biggest challenges for me. I don't know if anyone genuinely wants to be around me because I feel like I'm a good guy, and I feel like I genuinely do things with passion and purpose. And if I'm your friend, I'll look after you. So it's always been hard for me to kind of keep the right people around, because how do you know? Like, how do I know if they genuinely want to be around me? Is it for something? Do they have an agenda? Do you know what I mean?
But how do you deal with that? Because how do you work out if someone's got an agenda or is it just a matter of time?
Well, I think I've found out that you have to kind of let your walls down all the time. And if you get hurt, you get hurt, because then you miss out on the best relationships or the best friendships. If I'm not vulnerable, then I wouldn't have good times. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of I've got a pretty good feeling if I like someone or not, and I can kind of tell. Like, Matty was one of, like, most of my people, like, when they meet me, they always have this preconceived idea, like, oh, this guy's going to be arrogant, he's going to be this, that, and then they realize, oh, he's actually like a good guy. So it's like, it's more so my judgment of them, because I know that I'm a good dude.
I can tell you now with Matty, like, he comes from good stock.
He's good.
I know his dad really well.
Matty's good.
He might have a little bit of,
I can't believe he goes to the south, though.
Mate, he's the maddest Rooster supporter in the world.
But he can't stop talking about Latrell.
I know.
Did you not talk about Latrell first thing today? Did you or not? Say it, the camera.
He's obsessed with Latrell.
Yeah, he was like, oh, your boy, he just went crazy the other day.
Yeah. So could you tell me the story about your mate's Volk?
Yep.
Tell us the story about how you met Volk.
So we were doing a Call of Duty PlayStation kind of advertisement together. And this is when I wasn't living in Sydney yet. So I knew I'd come to Sydney. We were staying in Bondi Friday night. So our shoot was early Saturday morning. So I was like, fuck, Friday night, can't sleep. I'm right above Ravisi's. So I was like, fuck, I may as well go get a drink. So I went with my friend, went downstairs, got a little booth, and I'm drinking. I've probably had like 4 or 5, and then some guy next to me in his booth, he was about 10 meters away, was just so loud. And at this time, I wasn't a big UFC guy, had no idea what Volk looked like. Like I saw maybe a picture, but I didn't know his height. That was what threw me off the most, because the guy over there was like 5'6" or 7. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? He's pissing me off so loud and just a big like personality. And I was like, to my friends, I was like, dude, if this guy doesn't shut up, I'm just going to go over there and like tell him like, dude, just be quiet. Like the other people in the place. Anyway, so he's had a bit to drink and his friends are kind of like taking him out, because our call time's at 8 a.m. So I was like, I'm not going to drink too much because I want to be fresh. And then Volk comes in. At the time, I didn't know who he was. He comes over to me. He's like, Kyrgios, man, it's me. It's me. And I'm like, oh my God, it's another tennis fan. At this time, I'm going to fucking lose it. He's like, bro, it's me. It's Volk. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, if I was to tell this guy to shut the fuck up, he would have just knocked me out.
You would have got slammed.
I would have got slammed, bro. And then like, I told my friend, I was like, oh my God, lucky I didn't say anything, because I would have been in some serious trouble. And then the next day, fresh as a daisy. Like he was definitely having a couple. Next morning, 8 a.m., fresh as a daisy. And then we have a pretty good relationship now. But
the guy's a machine.
He's an absolute machine. Love him. Love him. Feel for him in the last couple fights, but I'm going to, pray and give him as much energy as possible that he can go over there and get it done in Spain in a rematch.
Yeah. Have you been to any of the UFC events?
I haven't been to any UFC events. I would love to go watch him fight. I'm very particular. I wouldn't just go... Like I'm very like, for instance, I've been invited to a bunch of Formula One races. Like I need to be passionate to go to something. You know what I mean? I guess that's why I don't go to much NRL, but now I want to go because one of my closest friends is super into watching. So I would have to go watch Volk. I wouldn't go there to just watch anyone else probably.
Mate, if you come to a Roosters game, Nick Kyrgios will be, because he loves Greeks, he would be so pleased.
Roosters.
Yeah, but man, I can get you a Rooster jersey.
I have partied with a couple of Roosters actually.
Well, Teddy's married to a Rooster, like Tedesco. He's married to Tedesco's married to a Greek girl. Brad Fittler's married to a Greek girl. There's a lot of Greek girls.
Maybe the Roosters are the way to go.
Maybe, I'm telling you. Like, what about Costeen? Who did she go for a team?
She doesn't follow the NRL that much. But I think
I know how to get to you.
Her family's from some of her family's from Randwick. Where
that's Rooster.
Oh God.
Well, South will say it's their territory, but like because we had a redistribution. But
like
it used to be ours.
Panthers though.
I like Panthers are cool. Panthers are cool. Like
nah, Trell, I'm riding with you, baby. Latrell, look, I'm looking right at you.
No, no, but maybe I might have to somehow contact Costeen, and I'll go to Costeen's mum.
Yeah, just say it's not going ahead unless Nick becomes
we're going to change this over. There's got to be jersey, and we're going to get your signed jersey. We might get James Tedesco alongside you, and I reckon we can win you over. And I know that Matty over there would love to see you in a Rooster jersey and a Rooster's hat. He's doing his fist pumping at the moment. When you're 40,
yep,
which is like 13 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
Where does Nick Kyrgios want to see himself? What do you see yourself as a 40-year-old? If you could just look that far forward, obviously you're not going to be playing tennis, but what are you going to be doing? What do you think? More an investor, or are you going to be involved in something?
I'm definitely going to be involved in the things that I'm invested in now and give my time to, like with the pickleball and the NBL team. Like I think that's going to be something that's always going to have my energy. And I mean, a dream for me would be a GM of one of the teams one day. That would be cool, but. Man, there's so much trauma and stuff that I've gone through in my life, and I've been through like some really tough periods that I really struggle to look forward more than like a week. Like,
really? I
really live a day by day mindset as if I wake up and I'm in a good mood, then that's a win for me. Like it was so dark at one stage, like I didn't want to live and I didn't want to get up and I didn't want to do anything. So now when I go for a walk in the morning, sit down with Maddie and just get a coffee and sit down, like that 5 minutes we were down there, like that type of stuff is like what I live for now. And
that's gold.
It is. And I wouldn't trade for. Thinking ahead for me is scary because I just think there's so many things with health, with family that can happen in any given moment. I've seen people be super healthy and the next day they find out they've got something that could end their life. It's like, for me, that's so scary. So I really struggle to look forward. I hate like thinking 13 years ahead. Whoa, man, if I can just get through this week or today in like a good, positive way, then that's a bonus for me.
What about if Nick Kyrgios, because you're sort of doing on OnlyFans, it sort of can be very inspirational, particularly to young kids, young tennis players, etc., who want to emulate you.
Yep.
what about Nick Kyrgios being someone who pays forward those experiences and helps lots of other younger people who are currently experiencing what you experience? And you did it successfully. Here you are sitting here, still here.
Yep.
And you did it in a very successful way too.
Yep.
What about helping younger people? I mean, how does Nick Kyrgios feel about that?
So, I have my own foundation, NK Foundation, that's in Melbourne. It's basically giving people a sporting chance, not just tennis, just to have the opportunity to play sport. That's one thing in my career that I'm super active in giving back. Every charity event, I'm trying to do a lot of charity days in Canberra, in Australia. For instance, on this topic, like I've had to spend a couple of days with I've done 3 Make-A-Wish, spend days with kids that have made a wish. Their last wish, I guess, was to spend a day and meet Nick Kyrgios. And I've actually kept in contact with one in particular, and I met up with him the other day in Brisbane. So his wish was to meet me at a basketball game, an NBL game, and we sat together and I met him. And I think that's been the most special thing about my career is like people, like when they've been diagnosed with something that's going to end their life, they're like, one of their last choices is to just spend a day with me. And for me, that's more powerful than anything I've ever achieved on court or, what I invest in or what I don't invest in. Like anything like that is just, and that's what I don't understand, some of the negativity around me sometimes. Like I'm giving my time and doing things actively like this. Like his name's Brooklyn and he's got this sickness, I don't know the exact name, but it affects his heart and his mobility. So he's like a 16-year-old kid who was living his life completely normal up until 14. Now he can't even walk without, basically help. And he has to go to Philadelphia in June and July to get treatment. Like for me, I'm always trying to actively do these things because it's so humbling for me. It's like, no matter what I do, it's like that always brings me down to a level of just like being a nice human. And I think I try and actively give back as much as I can. And it is exhausting as well because spending days with people like that, it's hard, like emotionally. So, but I mean, he'll watch this because he's a huge fan. He loves me for some reason. I gave him a pair of custom shorts a couple of days ago. So, no, I do try and give back as much as I can.
But do you ever sit down and think to yourself, oh my God, like someone's one of their last wishes towards the end of their life, or they might have something as incurable, is to meet me, Nick Kyrgios.
Yeah.
Do you ever think to yourself, how could that be? What like?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I guess when I feel bad, I guess that's what brings me up. When I feel a bit like when I'm not motivated to go to the gym or when I'm just like feel a bit lazy, then I that kind of picks me up. It's like, bro, there are people out there that don't have any options anymore. Like they're getting towards that point and they want you to be you. It's like, okay, I can't stop. Like I can't stop doing it. And I think people struggle to understand. People struggle to understand my motivations times. Like my like Costeen's like, why are you going to the gym at 10:30? Like I don't think they understand the why behind I do things. And that's one of them. Like I got kids like that looking up to me. So.
Why doesn't the media ever talk about that, do you reckon?
I don't know. I guess they just doesn't sell. I don't think it sells, like I feel like I've done a lot for the country as well. The bushfires, we raised like $5 million for the bushfires. I actively went like a couple nights beforehand messaging Serena Williams, all these people to try and do the rally for relief. Me and Novak raised 250 grand in an hour and a half on court a couple of years ago. And just, I've tried and to the point where I don't even care if they talk about it or not. Because for me personally, the way I feel, it makes me feel at least not like a piece of shit, So it makes me feel good.
Yeah, I was talking to someone a little while ago about the concept of, his name's Danny Abdullah. I don't know if you know Danny, but he lives in West Sydney, and his kids unfortunately got run over. A couple of his kids got run over and were tragically killed by a drunk person.
Yeah.
Anyway, I said to Danny, he runs a program now around forgiveness, and I said to him, mate, how did you forgive the dude who did this? And by the way, Danny's no shrinking violet either. Like, he's the sort of guy who, if he got hold of the person, he would probably break him in half.
Yep.
And he said, Mark, because forgiveness is not just a charitable thing or a Christian thing to do, but it said it's more about me having to do that in order to deal with my life.
Yep.
He said it was more a selfish thing.
Yep.
It's good for the person I forgive, and it's a good thing, good concept to talk about. but it's actually really important to me in a selfish way because I wouldn't be able to do it in my life unless I
100%.
forgive the dude. Do you think that, I'll be honest, straight up, I do a lot of charitable things for selfish reasons
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
to help me out,
Yeah.
to make me feel like I deserve what I get.
Yep.
Because I always think I don't deserve what I get.
Yep. Super generous.
How important is it to you in a selfish sort of way? And I don't mean a bad selfish way, but in a selfish way to do these things like you just said, raise money for these individuals. You know, you got Serena Williams to help out with the bushfires. Man, how conscious are you of I'm doing this for myself too, to give myself some legitimacy as a good human being?
Yeah, I think I've always thought that there's a big correlation between generosity and guilt. I think, not guilt, but just like, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, it makes me feel like I'm able to keep living this life if I'm just like always trying to give back and make sure that I'm bringing people along with me and looking after my friends. I'm always super generous. Like, I don't let my friends pay for anything because I just feel like I've been blessed with so many things. Like, I need to help out as much as I can. And that's why I give my time to these kids or try and do charitable things. Like, I'll always put my hand up first to do things like, if it's like go to a kid's hospital, and like, I just love doing it as well because it makes them happy. But for me, it makes me feel like, okay, I deserve, I guess, this life that I'm living.
You're a worthy person.
Yeah, it makes me feel like, okay, I've done at the end of the day, like, I've done what makes you a good human. Like, everyone would agree that if doing those things makes you a good human, then like, yeah, it makes me feel worthy, yeah.
So therefore, perhaps the reason you don't really give a shit whether the media picks up or not is because you're not doing it for them.
No, I'm not doing it for them.
You're doing it for yourself.
Yeah, like,
and the kid.
Yeah, the kid, like, I mean, he was watching me hit tennis balls the other day and he was just sitting there and he just had the smile on his face. We're just talking, like, he just loved it. And it's like, I'm not even doing anything abnormal. I'm just
It's
talking.
so mad, eh?
Yeah, I'm just talking to him and just hitting some balls and he loved it. That's it.
But I guess to some extent it helps someone like you explain to yourself the concept of greatness.
Yep.
I mean, Nick Kyrgios is a great sports person and greatness in the eyes of many, like millions probably around the world. It helps you understand or grasp this concept of greatness. What does it actually fucking mean?
Yep.
And really what it means is I've got to give to them.
Yes. I think that's why I keep playing too. Because like, I think for me, I don't have anything to prove anymore, but I got a lot of fans and people that want me to continue to make their day. Like, I'm playing for them now. But I wasn't always this way too. Like, I was a piece of shit. Like, I was a bad person. And I think accountability is the biggest thing of it all. Like, I'm able to be who I am now because I was so bad before and so selfish and such a bad person to people. Now I'm consciously like really proud of like the end result. And I think that's why people like, they don't understand why I do things now because I don't want to be that person anymore. Like, I was just a really bad person.
Can I just want to finish off one more question because I mean I've always been I've asked my mate Jeff Fennick who used to train Mike Tyson to get me an interview with Mike because I went over the States recently but it just didn't work out because Mike was too busy. But what is it like to be on his podcast, Hotboxing?
I was high as a kite, man. I was just
explain why. So
Mike Tyson walked in and we were doing his podcast and my podcast in the same studio. So he set up he had people set up his, and then he walked in with a piece of weed on his necklace. So I already knew from that, I was like, okay, this guy really likes marijuana. And then we continued to talk and he was like, weed saved my life because he was partying and doing coke and he was doing that nightly. And he said that weed really opened up my life and settled it down in a way to the point I just do that all day, every day now. So I'm sitting next to him and we're doing the podcast. And then
by the way, it's legal in
America. Legal in America, yeah. Anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm just like starting to just like feel myself like really, my eyes are starting to just...
Because he's smoking.
He's smoking right. He was right here and the other guest was here. And I was just like, there's smoke all around me and I'm like, whoa, this is getting me going. And then to the point where in the thing I started leaning back in the chair a little bit and I'm like, I'm really feeling it now. And then anyway, his podcast stops and then he gives me his gift because he has his own form of edibles, like his own, he sells them, like, you know, the
jellies and things like that.
But the chewed ear, like they're in the shape of the ear.
The ear that he bit off.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, I'll hit those tonight, whatever. And then like, I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like, shit, I got to do my podcast now. And I can't like, think straight. And I'm splashing water in my face in the bathroom. I said to his wife, because Mike Tyson, I was like, I think I'm high. I can't do this. Anyway, I managed to do it. And then, anyway, that episode hasn't aired yet, but you could definitely tell that I'm a bit gone. Basically, his hotboxing is just, you're in a room and you're just high. He asked me if I wanted one, and I was like, no, I've got to do mine.
Do you need it?
If I did it, I wouldn't have been able to function all day. No chance. That stuff was strong as hell.
So hotboxing is as in hot ones.
Yeah.
That's what it's sort of about.
That's it. Just getting high and just talking about anything.
But he's quite amazing, because I remember Jeff told me once that when he used to walk around his house, you'd feel like you're high too, because it was just been smoked all the time. And he's quite open about it.
He is, very.
It helps him.
Everything.
It helps him be a good person.
Yes.
A better person.
Yes.
Or not the person he hates about himself. And he can be either way. What do you think about his fight coming up with one of the Paul brothers? What do you think about that?
I have so many thoughts about it. And
did you talk to him about it in your podcast?
No, because I filmed the podcast
before then.
Yeah, before then. But I think it's for marketability, it's unbelievable. Yeah. Obviously, I think it's on Netflix. I mean, the amount of money they're both going to make is absurd, and I know all that sort of side of it. So I'm like, it's amazing. But as a 60-year-old going back to fight, and it's like, Mike Tyson doesn't need the money, so it's like, and for Jake, I'm actually quite close to Logan Paul, Jake's brother, and it's just like, I don't want Jake to lose, because if he loses, it's like, can you ever fight again after you've lost to a 60-year-old Mike Tyson? Like, I feel like it tarnishes your career. But then if he wins, it's like, all right, you beat up on a 60-year-old.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
Is there really any win there?
Well, other than he'll get much bigger audience.
Correct.
His audience will just grow.
I just hope, can it be a draw?
It can be a draw. Yeah. The judge can call it a draw for sure.
Oh, maybe that's the best way. If it's a draw, that would be the best result. I hope it's a draw.
Because Mike's pretty scary.
I'm not getting in the ring with a 60-year-old. I don't care how old he is.
He's a pretty scary guy.
He's scary. He was telling me there's some gems he dropped. He would get hypnotized before every fight to kill the person.
Oh, really?
Yep. An actual hypnotist used to hypnotize him before every time he got in the ring.
Because he used to stand there like...
Yep. That's
rocking
why.
back and forth.
Yep.
It looked like he's hypnotized.
Yeah,
he looked like he's in another state of mind.
He told me he used to get hypnotized to kill the other person.
Oh my God. So do you think? Okay, but I just want to finish off on this, because we're getting wound up here.
No
but just do you think though Mike's doing it for the show?
I hope so.
The theatre.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, the payday would be amazing.
Yeah.
So I just don't want either of them to get hurt, because I think it's going to be a bad look. And I don't know. I've seen videos of Mike Tyson still training. He looks fucking dangerous.
Yeah, but you're only going for 30 seconds. Though.
I know, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And he's surely going to get I don't know. I'm going to be watching though. That's what I want people to tune in.
We'll all watch.
Exactly.
I love proper boxing, and I'm going to be I'm a proper boxing fan, but I will watch the fight, because I'm just curious to see what happens.
Exactly, and that's what it is this day and age. It's like, who cares if you got it could be Giraffe versus Jake. People are going to watch.
Yeah,
and that's all that matters.
And it plays to what you said earlier about yourself. It plays to our sense of curiosity, and curiosity is really important. But you need some theatre around the whole thing.
Definitely.
And I just love a show.
And that's it. That's the show. Mike Tyson, Jake Paul.
I just love a show.
Yep.
And I would watch that in Vegas if I was in Vegas. I mean, it's where we watch all the great shows are. I mean, I just love a show. One final question.
Yep.
Any tennis breakaway games, do you think? Do you think there'll be a tennis breakaway similar to what golf's done?
Well, I think there's potential for it, but the thing about tennis is there's 4 different governing bodies. So the PGA was just the PGA, right? So tennis has ITF, which is the 4 Grand Slams, and that's it. So they have the Davis Cup and the 4 Grand Slams, and then the ATP Tour have their own little section as well, and then there's WTA, which is the women. So there's so different like governing bodies of the sport that they can't do that just yet, because one might not agree with the other, and it's a shit show.
Yeah.
So there needs to be one thing first, and then they could probably do it. But I don't think it could happen anytime soon,
because I would have thought someone like you'd be a perfect guy to get.
Oh, 100%. I would be the first to sign up.
Perfect.
Because obviously the money would be much better. But yeah, at the moment they can't do it. It's not one tour yet.
Because I've seen that James Magnuson has been talking about going into the enhanced Olympics, the swimmer.
Yeah.
And I actually don't have a problem with it. Like, because like if they can work out some way to make us better humans going forward, I don't have a big deal. It's not a big deal for me. I mean, everyone's carrying on about it, but I'm not saying he should be able to go and compete in the Olympics, but in the enhanced Olympics, and just see what the effect of someone like James Magnuson getting on gear, whatever gear they put him on. I'm actually curious.
Yeah, I'm for, if we're going to be like, if everyone can do it, then I don't have a problem with it. It's just the sports where some people are doing it, some people are not.
That's right, different.
That's different. But if everyone knows that, okay, this is what's allowed, I would watch it.
Yeah, me too. I'm definitely going to watch it. And I want to see if they can break a world record.
Yeah,
because I want to see.
Correct. If it really does that much
Yeah,
help.
correct.
Yeah,
and it might, but because it might not.
You're not, yeah.
And James Magnuson, I mean, I'm trying to get him on the show, but like, I think it'd be just unreal to watch how his body changes too. Like because I'm an older guy now, but I often think to myself, if I had an injury recently, and I think to myself, well, what about if I got on peptides and stuff like that?
100%.
Would that help me?
I would love to have done that.
Yeah, well, you can't.
I can't, of course not.
But if you're not a competitor, you probably could in America.
Yes.
You probably could in the States, and you probably would have got better much more quickly.
100%.
And not go through all the dramas. And if it can speed things up, I don't really see the problem with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really like smoking marijuana. Like, it's not my go, but like, if it makes you a better person or the best version of yourself,
then then
it's okay. If it does.
I guess they just want everyone on the exact same level playing field. I guess.
They want us all to do the same thing.
Correct.
And they also want to be, everybody wants us to be the same.
Yep.
And that's the best way to finish this off, because Nick Kyrgios has never been the same.
No,
Which
never.
is why Nick Kyrgios is Nick Kyrgios.
Correct.
And people who are listening, that's, to me, a bit of gold.
Yeah, it is, definitely. You got to find what works for you. Everyone's different.
But everyone's trying to keep this the same.
Yes. Just ask questions.
Ask questions. Nick Kyrgios, thanks very much, mate.
No worries. I appreciate it.
That
Thank
was
you.
awesome.
That was fun. A lot of fun.